How y'all doing, everybody? Welcome to the first show, HBCU OverDrive, and I'm your host, Doc Holliday. Basically, this show is committed to bringing out black college athletics and also cultural awareness and bringing the shit into the light. So, basically, it's all going to be about HBCUs, the excellence that we tend to bring out, the product that we tend to bring out, trying to shed some light on things to improve our culture, our athletics, our facilities, our schools, infrastructure, so far. So basically, I'm a little bit nervous, but I hope y'all bear with me. But I would like for y'all to click on the link, subscribe, comment, and share it with your people. But let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the big thing that happened last week, which basically was Nick Saban basically running his mouth. And what he did was basically he put Jimbo Fisher, was basically talking to his collective boosters for University of Alabama. And basically he was saying that you need to basically get your stuff up. Like, you need to get your shit up. Put point blank. So what he did do is he dragged Jimbo Fisher's name into it, and Jimbo Fisher is the head coach for Texas A&M. Texas A&M had the #1 recruiting class for 2022, and this is basically a first for Texas A&M to have 7 5-stars come to play at College Station. I mean, it's a big achievement, but to me, you have to coach them up, put them on the field, and see what they're about. But what Saban was talking about was that Jimbo Fisher, boosters for Texas A&M, felt like that they bought all the players to come to Texas A&M, and to me, I wouldn't want to call it bought because of the simple fact that that has a racial connotation. And when we talking about bought, you're talking about buying, like, as far as racial connotation, it's basically by buying slaves. So he had it in the mind like, well, you basically got your slave, you basically got these players, you got them off the auction block, and you pay big money for it. Of course, we talking about Texas. We talk about Texas A&M. Texas A&M has oil money, so nobody's not really going to compete with that. Especially with boosters that has their niche and their ties into the oil industry. Texas A&M basically has a permanent university fund, which is called the PUF Fund, that they share with the University of Texas. And basically, this is money that is basically like an endowment for those two schools that they do not share with anybody else. Just those two schools get that money right there. And what they do is basically is collecting. They don't use it. They don't do anything to it. It just collect the money. It's just basically generating. It's building interest and building interest and building interest. So Jimbo fired off, and I felt like the man had on black Air Forces when he fired off. Like, he was pissed to the highest level of pissivity. Let's just put it like that. Pissed to the highest level of pissivity. that this man said that he would not talk to him. He is no longer friends with this man. Like, basically, to me, I feel like, shoot, if that's the case, y'all might well just go ahead and battle it out after the football game whenever y'all play. Because, you know, A&M has to go to Alabama this coming up season. And Alabama is basically looking for revenge because they felt like they should never lost to Texas A&M. But long story short, Jimbo Fisher, he came with his black forces. He had black Air Force energy. He was like, why do I gotta pay? Why do we gotta buy athletes just to come to our school? And this is basically meaning for NIL, name, image, and likeness. So basically, Saban was accusing Jimbo of basically saying, like I said, buying all the players, buying the top players. Like, he has a top player for almost each position except for quarterback, if I'm not mistaken. But to me, that kind of does raise a red flag. But what can you do about it? It's legal. Now, here's the tricky part. This is where it comes into play for HBCUs. Nick Saban also brought up Coach Prime. Basically, he's the head coach of I Love Jackson State University, where I had attended from 97 to 2001. Then in 2009, basically, he basically went and told him, his boosters, like, hey, they bought Travis Hunter. They gave Travis Hunter $1 million, and they bragged about it in the, and they bragged about it. And he said he read it in the paper. First of all, whoever is still reading the newspaper, like literally getting the newspaper and reading it, kudos to you. Kudos to you. Because we are in a day and age of, media technology, social media. So, you're going to know, like, ASAP what's going on before you know from a newspaper. And, basically, Coach Prime was woken up by Shador, his son, which is starting quarterback for Jackson State. And he seen what he said, and he kind of fired back because it's the fact that, in his words, we do not have to pay our people to come to play for us. And, if I'm Coach Prime, I'm looking at Nick Saban like, hey, thank you for the free publicity. Thank you for the free, public announcement. Now I'm about to get on your head with this recruiting and try to get any kind of player that was supposed to, you were going to recruit at Alabama, try to get them to flip to try to come to Jackson State. I mean, to me, that's black Air Force energy right there. He put it in his godly way. But Travis Hunter also came out with a tweet, and he said that he laughed at it, talking about he thought, I got a meal, but my mom still live in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids. So you trying to tell me where that meal is. You tell me where that meal is, and where how his living situation is still is different. And basically when they was talking about he got paid $1 million, he basically saying that they was basically trying to say that Barstool Sports, which Coach Prime is affiliated with because he has his podcast with Jamie Dukes, 21st and Prime, on YouTube. He basically saying that they basically had Travis come in and pay them $1 million, which, that was a flat out lie. That was, basically, like I said, it's a flat out lie. Barstool Sports even though they are affiliated with Dion, he made sure that when it comes to things like that, that they are a separate entity from Jackson State University as a whole. So I like how they went and defended their position, and basically, there's that. But also Coach Prime, he also went on I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall. And they was talking about what was going on as far as with what Nick Saban said with by him and Jimbo Fisher. And I mean, it's easy, like he said. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. So tell me where I got to pay my people to come to play for me. Tell me. You know what I'm saying? Let me know why I got to have to pay people that look like me to come play at the institution where that was the only institution that they was allowed to go to. They wasn't allowed to go to white institutions. You know what I'm saying? So it's still I don't want to say it's a developing story. It's still basically hot on the press. I don't know. I basically felt like Coach Prime, he matured and went it at another way, because if there was Coach Prime back in the early 90s, late 90s, mid to late 90s, it'd have been a whole different story. It'd have been a whole different story. Totally different story. So therefore, basically, Coach Saban, hopefully he get his boosters. They can come up with a collective to try to get money for his players. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But thank you for the free press for HBCUs. Thank you for that free press for us. So, because, now we about to go after these players real hard, like you just don't know. It's about to be a wave. It's about to be a wave, and you ain't gonna see it. You're not gonna be able to see it. But when you do, it's gonna be too late. Just let you know. So the next thing we'll talk about, man, basically, man, we could talk about it was a report yesterday that Miss Dianna Williams, y'all know who Miss D, come on now. Dancing Dolls, DD4L, has a Lifetime show and everything. Straight up Jacktown, Jackson State alum. She came out and basically filed for trademark under number 35, if I'm not mistaken. That's what she said, with merchandising. So basically she's saying, like, Southern University their dance troupe uses the same name, that the Fabulous Dancing Dolls. Miss D basically deboed that from them. If you really think about it, she deboed the name from them so she could sell the merchandise, so she could get the branding, everything. Smart sister, you know what I'm saying? Smart, because Southern sent her a C and D, and she's like, "Oh, you sent me this? Well, I'm gonna go do this right here." And what she did was straight gangster. So so y'all gonna be using Dancing Dolls, Fabulous Dancing Dolls? Not without my permission. Sorry for you. And we talking about Miss D that sends countless of girls to HBCUs just based off the dance troupe, the dance club, everything that she does. She sends girls to different HBCUs, mainly Southern and Jackson State, Alcorn, you know, to be one. But she sent these girls to HBCUs for something that they love to do, which is dancing. And for her to be doing this for over 20 years, that's what she said. She basically called in on my boy show, Scotty, aka Off Script. Salute to you, my brother. She basically called in on the show and basically just went straight. I wouldn't say go straight ham, but she just broke everything down to what she broke everything down to a T about how what was going on with her and Southern, and with this basically like using the name, the Dancing Dolls, you know, DD4L, like, and she's been using Dancing Dolls for over 20 years, and Southern haven't said anything about it, but they want to say something now, then they are basically flat out in the wrong. So, you know, she did what she did, and I say kudos to her. Hopefully it will stick. I want it to stick. We want it to, you know what I'm saying, basically us being Jackson State alum and Southern being our rival. We want it to stick because I want her to see to succeed with the merchandising and the branding and everything that goes along with it, with the name. So, you know what I'm saying, big ups to Miss D. Another thing we got going on is Tuskegee has been talking about moving up to D1, which basically not saying D1 as FBS, but D1 and FCS. And if you don't know, Tuskegee is in rural Alabama, which is about 45 minutes from Montgomery. From what I'm hearing, that they have been going through as far as renovations to their football facilities and stuff like that. So they basically started doing the basic work as far as basically just trying to upgrade it, and so, you know, they can jump up to D1. And this is coming from Coach Reggie Ruffin. Reggie Ruffin he coached at Miles. I think he coached at, if I'm not mistaken, he coached at Bowie State, if I'm not mistaken. If you just correct me if I'm wrong in the comments and everything like that. But he wants to move up to D1. It's basically trying to get the administration to try to move the program up to D1 FCS. The biggest thing that they had to renovate is their football stadium. That football stadium looks like a high school football stadium, not even a high school football stadium. That stadium looks like a middle school football stadium. I got stadiums here in Dallas that looks way better than the Shed. But, you know, it's tradition for them and everything. But that's the main thing that they have to upgrade. I say upgrade it to probably about 10,000, 12,000 seats. Upgrade your baseball facilities, upgrade your softball facilities. The basketball arena is basically the Daniel Chappie James arena. I say leave it as it is. You probably, you know, do a minor, you can probably do minor upgrades to it, but the biggest thing for them to do is to upgrade the football facilities, the baseball, softball, and the infrastructure, the athletic infrastructure. So that way that they could get the money to where they can actually go ahead and have an athletic budget to compete and recruiting of athletes to come to the school. So I'm giving them a big thumbs up, wish them well. I want to make sure that they do good, because it would be interesting, because you could see those in-state, like basically those in-state games that you will normally see, like the Turkey Day Classic between them and Alabama State. You can see them play Alabama A&M. Maybe I don't know any other school in Alabama. You can still see them play Bethune-Cookman, which they have a rivalry with, Florida A&M. I can see it go play South Carolina State. I can see them playing. I can see them playing Valley. I can see them playing Jackson State. I can see them playing any kind of HBCU FCS school, basically in the SWAC and some in the MEAC. I can see them doing that. They do have a good, well, I don't think they had a good football roster from last season, but they always come to play when it comes to football. We talking about alums like Drayton Florence, who came from Tuskegee. He used to be cornerback for Jacksonville Jaguars. He was excuse me. He was a Pro Bowler with the Jaguars and stuff like that. He spent, I don't know, let's say about 12 years with the Jaguars. I don't know if he went to another team, but I know like his main face was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But he is an alum from Tuskegee. You know, I feel like that they, if the alumni can get on, I wouldn't say get on the ball, because Tuskegee alumni is basically they have the funds to help out and to contribute to their school. So I don't see them not trying to contribute to getting things done as far as for like the athletic standpoint, because they already do it for like the academic standpoint. If you think about it, Tuskegee is like one of the tougher schools to get into, tougher HBCUs to get into, if you really think about it, as academically. Private schools, a lot of history around that, around the university, around the town of Tuskegee, Alabama. Hey, I salute them basically to try to get, to get what they need to get. And if they're going to make that jump, I mean, I'm going to support them. I'm going to be all for it, because we all got to support each other, man. No matter what, if you love them or hate them, still got, you still want to support your fellow man, fellow brother. Switching gears, man. Let's switching gears. I want to talk about Grambling. And what's going on with Grambling, because they've been holding some hot L's for the last 4.5 months. The first thing was with Coach Hugh Jackson hiring Art Browns. I'm not even gonna call him disgraced. He former head coach of Baylor, former high school coach at Stephenville and Mount Vernon, former head coach at University of Houston. I was kind of perplexed on that, but I feel like that it could have been some good with Coach Browns at Grambling. He didn't have to do too much anything. All you had to do was just coach the offense, because you came in as an offense coordinator. You didn't come in to be a head coach. The only thing people kept saying about him was that the fact that he allowed rapists and sexual predators in his football program, which he didn't know what was going on. It is kind of different, like say in the light of what happened at Penn State, where Joe Paterno I wouldn't say he didn't know, but I feel like he knew that his his boy, his guy, Sandusky was a child predator. Um, I felt like Browse didn't know what was going on, and his whole thing is he has to police the football team. He is not the police for the whole school. He is only the face for the football team. That was it. Um, they said that he didn't have anything to do with it, but his name got dragged in the mud for so long that they felt like he didn't, they didn't want him to coach in NCAA anymore in college football. So he went back to the high school route. Went to Mount Vernon. He took a Mount Vernon team, 93, took it to the playoffs. Hey, my name is still going to be hot out there. So what they do, Hugh Jackson comes along. He looks for an offensive coordinator. And who name pops up? Art Browse, man. Like, Art Browse is, when it comes to offensive-minded football, Art Browse was the man for offensive-minded football at Baylor, at U of H, at Stephenville, Mount Vernon. I'm not going to say anything because the man knows, all he knows is coaching. That's it, basically. That's all you know. He knows coaching, nothing else. So you had that going on. And then the next thing you had going on is the volleyball coach that they hired, Chelsea Lucas. She came in from UAPB. And before she was at UAPB, she was at Alcorn. Let me tell y'all this record. Her record, if I'm not mistaken, is 52 and 139, if I'm not mistaken, overall. And you hired her to try to change the culture around the volleyball team. And what does she do when she gets in? She informs the volleyball team, hey, I'm the new coach, but y'all ain't playing for me for next year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all y'all scholarships. Where they do that at? Tell me. Now, and don't get me wrong. Don't say it like, because Coach Prime, basically, he took scholarships away when he got to Jackson State, but he was rebuilding because some of the players, he evaluated some of those players, and maybe they didn't pan out to the way that he wanted them to pan out. Maybe they wasn't on board as far as being they wanted to be a member of Jackson State, but he did what he had to do. And it showed on the field for what he did. We have yet to see what's going to happen with Chelsea Lucas as the head volleyball coach at Grambling. We won't know. We won't know what's going to happen until you see what's happening with the team. But this basically puts everything in, I take that back. Let me rewind that back. Just by doing that, it became not a regional thing, a local thing, but it became a national thing, into where Stephen A. Smith got on his show, First Take, on ESPN, and called her out for getting rid of the players that played there last season, and try to bring in a whole new team. Oh my good. Like, he basically went in on her. And, now they kind of in some hot water, because it's like, to me, like, it's all bad. Like, you got to repair that part of your image right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to repair that part of your image. So now Coach Chelsea she gonna have to pull out a miracle. They gonna have to go undefeated or something. She gonna have to win the SWAC in volleyball, point blank period. So that way, what the things that she did as far as cutting the players, it justifies for what she did. I mean, point blank. So, hopefully Grambling all around can go and basically revamp their image that they have been, experiencing for like the last couple of months. You never know what's gonna happen, man. But I know it's gonna be a good thing as far as seeing Coach Jackson in the SWAC and battling it out with these other great coaches that's in our conference too. So let's think. The other thing I want to talk about basically, man, is these contracts. And the contracts, like to Bayou Classic, Southern Heritage Classic, any type of classic that's going on. To me, as by looking at the contracts through the lens from Scotty, like I said, off script, he brought those contracts on his show and he basically broke it down. And then also he had Roland Martin on the show, and he also went on Roland Martin's show. So they basically broke down everything that, with these contracts, like media contracts, basically. Let's just put it like that. Media contracts and like these classic contracts. So the Southern Heritage Classic contract was straight trash. From what we was looking at, we was on the show, I was looking at the show and listening to it. That contract is straight trash for Jackson State. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was straight garbage. Like, I would burn the contract up. Burn it. And the reason I felt a way, the reason why Coach Prime wanted to get out of that game, because he looked at it as like, man, we ain't getting no type of money out of this. We not getting nothing. We not getting nothing out of this. Like, you're basically just going up to Memphis to play Tennessee State and you playing the game for free. Point blank. Let's just call it like it is. Point blank. You're just going to play this game for free. This game generates billions of dollars for the city of Memphis. So why can't the promoter for the Southern Heritage Classic give at least like $5 or $6 million to each school? That way they could go home they could go back to the respective campuses with something. They get nothing. Like, that contract is terrible. Then we also got on the Bayou Classic contract, which is basically another terrible contract. Basically, they were saying that Grambling and Southern pays NBC to air their football game. Why am I paying this network to air my product? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And I was on Scotty's show and I told him, like, hey man, we have to get presidents that are progressive, forward thinking. Not these dinosaurs that been at the school for about 10, 15, 20 years, because the way they did they negotiations back then is not gonna fly with what you would do now. Like, we have to get basically presidents that's like-minded, that's in tune with the students, that in tune with the young alumni, and try to make sure that we can get, something. Like, get something, because now it's like $220,000 in 2022 for a university, for a football team. That's pennies on a dollar. What are we doing? What are we doing? You know, and to me, I feel like each school should have somebody to negotiate the contract with them and tell them like, hey, this is good, this is good, this is good, this ain't good, take that out. This ain't good, we ain't gonna do that. This ain't good, now you're gonna have to put something else better for us, player. Like, for real. You gotta have somebody, in between you and the promoter to say, hey, you need to come up with a better contract or we ain't playing. We ain't coming. We ain't bringing our fans. We ain't bringing our band. We ain't bringing cheerleaders. We ain't bringing nothing. It's just gonna be an empty stadium. That's what I can say. Like, you have to have some sort of mediator to say, hey man, look, contracts is bad. Terrible. You know, I hope the commissioner, Commissioner McClellan, is listening. You know, he listened to all of this, because it's like, when you negotiating and you see these schools negotiating contracts and you know that the contracts are bad, then you should be like, hey, that don't look good for you. That don't look good for you. You need to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we got to figure something else out. But then, too, the commissioner ain't no better than some of the presidents and ADs that negotiate these contracts. He ain't no better, because he's going out negotiating media contracts without, school permission. Like, he the big head boss. You got to realize, Commissioner McClellan, you work for the presidents of the conference. 12 presidents, a chancellor, or a provost, you work for them. It's not the other way around. You work for them. So that's the reason why I also said you got to have progressive-minded presidents and chancellors and ADs and provosts in the system, to where they say, hey man, we want this TV deal, or we want this deal, we want them to show our games. Like, it don't have to be as a whole group. Why, let's say, for example, okay, Jackson State. Hey man, Jackson State, when they show their home games, when they don't have a game on ESPN or whatever channel that they have it on, they show it on JSU TV. Basically with JSU TV, you got to pay $25. It's basically like you paying to get into the football game, so you go watch the game on TV. So it's in that sense. But if it was me, I'm using it as like a $5 subscription every month, you know what I'm saying, to broadcast all of our games. Basically, you use it as a model. Let's just say Notre Dame. They, as far as the football goes, Notre Dame has NBC on lock. Why? Because NBC is going to show Notre Dame. Notre Dame football is going to be shown on every home in America, no matter where you're from, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, Midwest, whatever. It's going to be shown on everywhere in everybody's home, So you have to get something like that. A bad thing, like, we'll say University of Texas with the Longhorn Network. Longhorn Network basically is saying that the University of Texas can't show their football games. They can't show conference games, but they can show a non-conference game, and they can show replays of the game from earlier in the day on the channel. But they did it. They brought that network so they could broadcast all of their sports: baseball, basketball, softball, track and field, you name it, they show it. But it's going to be a different story when they go to the SEC in a couple of years. They're going to have to give it up. That's going to be a fight within itself right there, with the SEC and University of Texas. But let's get back to what we were talking about with just like media rights. So the conference, to me, should not own all media rights. I feel like the media rights should be owned by each participating school in the conference. So if Grambling if Grambling wants to show old clips of Kendrick Nord or Bruce Eugene or Roger Fowles playing football, they can do that. If FAMU wants to show old clips of Patrick Bonner and the the Rack Boys and stuff like that, they can do that. If Southern wants to show Dianna Williams clips, Harold Carmichael, Bryant Lee, they could do that. Jackson State, Walter Payton, Jimmy Smith, Rashad Anderson, let's say Mark Washington, Robert Kent. I'm just naming all players. They could, show that. That's that they have the rights to that. The conference shouldn't have all the rights to all the media. If they want to do it like that, if the conference wants to have all rights to the media, then they should be able to show, like you said, different games with different players, like Steve McNair or something like that. Basically, that's what happened when ESPN came up with ESPN Classic. ESPN Classic is nothing but showing old shit. Boxing, basketball, baseball, football, freaking horse derby racing. What? Come on now. You gotta, like I said, you guys to be progressive minded, and you gotta know what you want. If not, we still gonna be in the same rut for eternity. Whatever, whoever's the next commission is gonna be. Whoever the next commission is gonna be, they have to be progressive. They have to be on their P's and Q's. Cause not, then we're gonna call you out. We're gonna call you out, and it's not gonna look good. And I feel like the schools should call out the commissioner, like, hey, what are you doing for us? But anyway, like I said, this is my first show that's gonna be on YouTube. Y'all gotta be mindful that this is like the first time I ever did something like this. But I hope that what I do and how I bring it, and the energy and the passion and the thank you. I'm lost for words because I'm so shocked and stoked, and you know what I'm saying. I'm like, this is something that I've been wanting to do for so long, but I was so afraid that I wouldn't look good on camera and stuff like that. But I feel like now, just keep going and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, that eventually I'm gonna be a pro at it. But like I said, some of my basically influences in me for doing this would be basically, one is Scotty, aka Oscript, Cut Day Sports, CFL, Blue Bloods, Bridges on Top. I checked out your thing. Hey man, you great shows, man. Who's another one? Corner Sports Net, Coach Walker, HBCU Spotlight, Jeff Lacey. I look at all of that right there. ONG Strike Zone. I look at everything, like all of that right there, and it's like I come up with stuff in my head, and and it's like, how did I get this whatever, what we talking about and bring in a new audience. Oh, let's put it on YouTube, man. Make a YouTube channel. Make a new YouTube channel. So basically what I did, I just rebranded my whole YouTube channel. I've been having it since June 13th of 2006, but it was just a random page, but I'm rebranding it to where, like, I hope that this will get me somewhere, get me started somewhere. I had aspirations when I was in Jackson State. I majored in journalism. I majored in broadcast journalism, and I stopped for a second because I felt like I didn't have the screen presence or anything like that to bring something like this to light. I know I stutter a lot, but that y'all have to excuse me. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect in one bit, but can't start something when you still sitting on your ass. I mean, that's just point blank. Just that's a true statement. That's something that my daddy used to tell me. That's something that my stepfather and my uncle and my grandmother, to this day, it still echoes in my ear. Rest in peace to my grandmother. To this day, you can't start nothing if you're still sitting on your ass. So that means that you gotta beat your feet, move, do what you gotta do to make sure that you do what, you succeed and you be a success in today's society. But I feel like this is gonna be a good thing. This is gonna be a great thing for us, a great thing for me, because I don't see anything else that I could talk about but HBCU sports and cultural awareness and everything. Like, I know it sucks. Sometimes I feel like it sucks because it's in fact that because I'm in my early 40s that I started late, but it's people that's been doing this. They probably in their late 40s, 50s. You know what I'm saying? But they had the courage and the gall to come out and put themselves out there and put themselves out for YouTube for millions and millions and millions of people to come and gravitate to and be like-minded and stuff like that. I know it's gonna be haters out there. It's haters everywhere, because my granny say your haters are your congratulators, because they hate on you so much they congratulate you on the side. And if you ain't gonna, if it weren't for haters, you know what I'm saying, haters get you paid, because they're gonna have to follow this, they're gonna have to do something, they're gonna have to follow something. But it's neither here or there. As you can see, I'm repping my Stros. Even though I'm a Braves fan, I'm repping the Stros for hoes. You can see that on the hat. Just let y'all know, I do have a full-time job. I'm like CFL. I have a full-time job. I am a store manager at Lids. So all the content that will come out, it would basically be Tuesdays and Thursdays. I would say between 12 and 2. Tuesdays and Thursdays, between 12 and 2 in the afternoon. But again, thank y'all for viewing me. Thank y'all for watching me. Thank y'all for trying to, you can give me a support. I will put links in the description. Like I said, you can comment, like, share, But the main thing I want y'all to do is subscribe and view. Thank you. Y'all have a good one. Peace.